Oh, I forgot to do the chat. Of course, of course. 1 second here. Hello, Lord Server. There we go. There you go. Oh, this is not loaded too. Oh, is this the right board? Wait, is this the right board? Where did I put it? Where did my photos go? What? Alright, I don't know where my references went. Wait, what? Is it in the other reference board? Where is it? Pretty sure I saved. But I guess if I didn't, I just have to find a new photo. It's not that bad. I was gonna use the other ones as a reference for rendering. Huh. Or I actually lost it. Wait, what? Okay, one more board to check. Is it in this one? It's not in this one, right? What? Oh, it's in the other one. Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's I forgot it's not just a duplicate. It's actually a separate board now. Hello, George. Okay, so I think before I actually start drawing, I'm gonna rant a little bit about Live 2D because this is what we're doing, the main focus of these 2 months, and this is just to keep things on record at least, and hopefully it shows a little bit about the way I'm approaching the issue, and also the knowledge that I'm discovering along the way is gonna change the way that I'm going to do the Live 2D stuff. But some of the stuff that you think you can do, it doesn't really translate over well programmatically into code and into actually doing it. So I'm trying to constantly test some ideas out to make sure that it actually works. So, yes. So Live 2D. So as far as I understand, your model has different parameters. Each parameter is connected to a range of motions, right? So when the parameter value changes, it animates that, you know, that specific part that you have decided that this parameter is going to animate accordingly. And so that's the gist of Live 2D. And then the objective that I want to achieve is that we're going to have a character that is not going to be controlled by me. So the character itself, herself, needs to be basically controlled by a program. And the way that the program can then affect this character is by changing these parameters. So that is the premise that we're working off of. Now, there's two ways to do this thing. First thing is that they have this thing called animations. And an animation is something that you can record. You can turn on a camera, you can press the record button, and you can therefore record any animation you want. Like, so for example here, these are all the presets for this character. And if you put it on the idle, it's just gonna start playing it when it's idling. Oh, I think, am I hijacking the controls? You know what, let me just reset this real quick, because I think the code is breaking this a little bit. Yes, it's Neuro 1.0, the original Neuro. It's kind of cute that like essentially, oh, get out of here. All of the, because even I'm just working off of this, right? So all of this is born out of this same character here. So we have recorded animations here, and right now it's set to the idle animation. That means when it's detecting that it's idling, so when there's no input coming into the parameters, it's going to play this animation on repeat, right? So that's what this is. This is the first way of animating the character without actual camera input from me. But the problem with this is that it's a fixed animation. That means in this one animation, you're moving the face, the hand, everything in a very specific pattern, and that's it. You don't have any flexibility. You cannot say that I want to add a blink somewhere in this animation. It's going to be very hard. You could change the values, but that's what we're going to get to. So that's the first way. The second way would be to individually control every single one of these parameters in a real time. Because the way that the Live2D system works is that you have to constantly send in data, positional data, for every single parameter in every second, or it goes to its default value. And in order to achieve like the most amount of life, we are going to have to do this method, which is we're going to control every single parameter. So in order to do that, we need to then understand what this animation file kind of is doing. So over here is one of these animation files. So within this animation file, you basically have a JSON format data, and each one is affecting a single parameter. So parameter angle, Y angle, Z, cheek, left open, that kind of stuff. Within each parameter here, we have segments of data. So the data specifies, first of all, what kind. Think of it as keyframe animation. So the keyframe here in this case would be a time stamp, and then the value would be the value at that timestamp. But that on top of that, there is another value called the segment value, and that value determines how the values should change between one keyframe and the next keyframe. And if you've done any animation, you know there's constant, there's linear, there's Bezier curves, and essentially that's what all these things are here. So you don't have to understand the numbers, it's documented somewhere. We don't really care too much about that, but that's what the animation files themselves look like. So the plan now is then, for example, if I want to have a very flexible system where the character can do any number of expressions with any number of body movements, for example, then we record each facial expression separately. We have a file separately for that. Now, every recording that you do will have every single active parameter. So regardless of whether if it's used or not. So we have every single thing in this file. We will have every single thing in this other file. Okay, this one is collapsed in a different way, but not all of them will be useful. So the plan then is that if we can record different facial expressions and then programmatically extract just the ones that we want. Where did I put the code here? So for example, test 3B. So for example, in this code here, we're taking two of these files here and we're joining with just getting the path. And then we're saying that from one of them, I want to extract just the face parameters. So I can just grab all of the face parameters from one file, merge it with some kind of body movement from another file. And in this case here, I'm just dumping it to a final file. And then, so essentially, like, for example, if we look at motion number 6 over here, she raises her arms, and then she kind of does this movement here. the important thing to note that is that her eyes are open essentially all the way for basically the whole time, right? But if we go to number 10 here, she looks sad, so her eyes are sad, her eyebrows goes down, and then she sort of recovers. So the face recovers, but the hands are clearly down. But with that code, we can then merge the animations together to get her looking kind of sad and moving her hands up. I think this is kind of broken. Pretty sure this was working. Anyway, just trust me that it worked before. This is great. Amazing. It wouldn't be programming if it didn't go wrong on live stuff. But let's just go off of the assumption that it works. So if we can then merge those things into a singular file, we can then have a set of animation. However, there's still one more problem, is that in order to run an animation file, you have to register it in the Live2D software itself. It has to be visible here. And if you add a new file to the folder, it doesn't actually see it until you restart the software. So not to mention that you will have to generate every single combination of facial expression with every single different version of body movement. So that's a lot of combinations to generate. So we want to be able to do that on the fly. So in order to do that on the fly, you will have to then read the numbers from that file and then send each individual parameter, which is something that looks like this. You will have to send each individual parameter every single second, or every single frame rather. And there's a bunch of math here that I got ChatGPT to do for me. Essentially, it's able to go through all of those animated files, depending on the different types of segments and animation. It's able to grab, then compute the timestamps and the value of every parameter, so that we can then send this data in real time, and that would then do the animation for us. And then there's a few other caveats, is that it's kind of annoying in the sense that if you look at Live2D parameter settings here, so what's going on here is that this param angle Y is the one that's actually in the model. So when you do the model rigging in Live2D's Cubism Studio, this is the parameter name, whereas this input here is inherently typed to VTube Studio itself. So when you have a live tracking software looking through a camera feed, it's translating that data into each one of these input values, and then it's going to be mapped over to the param, the actual one that's off the model. So that's why we have this sort of mapping here. You can kind of adjust some stuff. I don't fully understand this part, but just know that you have an input one, which is part of the VTube Studio, and you have an output param, which is the actual model. So in order to get the animations to go through, you have to hit this, you have to change this part. The problem is that this value here, this face angle Y, even though it exists, and I can see it in the sense that I can see the value, I can see the ID here, I cannot change this programmatically. It doesn't allow you to do that. So then the only way to actually send data in is to create your own custom parameters and then change these custom parameters directly. So we have like a quick script here. So this is just a sanity test. It just basically sends repeated blinking data via the custom eye left and the custom eye right params that we have created ourselves. And then it's just going to blink. So for example, if I just start this up right here, it's going to ask, it says ChatGPT as the author. Very funny, ChatGPT. So now it's just constantly blinking. You can see she's constantly blinking, but it doesn't affect any of the other animations because we only are toggling just the eyes, right? So what am I getting at? So the plan now, right? By the way, the code kind of looks like this. So it's just constantly sending the data. It's sending it, I think, 30 times a second, like 30 frames per second, essentially, is what it's doing. And then you can actually also... Oh, wait, actually, never mind. I don't think this works. I forgot if this works properly. I think it doesn't work because it's an invalid request here. ChatGPT was hallucinating and telling me that I can trigger animations directly, but you actually cannot even trigger animations programmatically directly. You have to set a hotkey for the animation and then trigger the hotkey, so it's even more cumbersome. But regardless, so right now what do we have is that we have a way of essentially programmatically affecting these parameters in real time based off of animation files. And the reason why we want animation files is that imagine you're trying to you know, create a laughing face, right? There will be a lot of parameters moving. A lot of them will be moving. You don't want to do this parameters by hand because it will look very stiff. So what you really want to do is just record an animation, which I forgot where the recording is. I forgot where the record button is. You will record it with a camera so that it's very natural. Then you would just extract the data out programmatically. You don't have to do it by hand. And then you will recompile it together using code yet again. So that's why it's important to be able to get the numbers from the animation file and then into the real-time sending of the data. So that concludes basically the underlying sort of technical proof of concept. Then comes the design, because in order for the character to look natural, there are two types of ways to essentially how should I say this? Let's see. So for example, if we have our Live 2D, our VTube Studio is over here. And then let's say we have a whole bunch of custom parameters here. So we have a whole bunch of custom params. So one for each on the model, essentially, right? We have one for each on the model, and then we have our models here. So the model has its own set of params here. And there is a one-to-one mapping here. And then we are going through WebSocket, and then we're basically sending real-time data over here. And this is our code over here. We probably need a bigger box soon, but... So right now what we have proven is that we can control one of these parameters that's mapped to one of these things that is mapped to one specific movement. And this was the blinking test that we did, right? Just the eyes blinking. And the problem now is that we need enough data to be constantly sending through, because if we don't, no movement over here. The character just stops moving. So now if we need constant real-time data, we can send in default data, but then the character will look very stiff because it's the same as not sending any data. It would just be the default pose. Or we can constantly be sending some minor amount of animation, but regardless, we're constantly sending the data. But here comes the problem. So if we want to have the character be alive, right? There are two kinds, essentially, of states that the character is going through. So first we have the toggle states, which I'm just going to call it like my own terminology here. So these toggle states are, for example, I am currently happy, right? Or I'm currently sad. Essentially, it's a constant state of being. Like, for example, if I'm going to blink my eyes, I can be happy and blinking my eyes, and I can be sad and blinking my eyes. And the difference would be that maybe my eyes are slightly more angled if I'm happy, or it might be slightly more drooped if I'm sad, but I'm still going to be able to blink. And then the other one is the other stuff is kind of like the blinking itself. So this is like stuff like blinking, like hand waving, that kind of stuff. And the difference between the two is that this is the state of being. It can go from 0 to 1 in no time at all. We can say that she's happy right now. We can say that she's happy in the next split second. Sorry, she's sad in the next split second, and it would have been fine. But if she is blinking, I cannot just say that she's half closing her eyes right now and all of a sudden she's gonna not blink anymore. It doesn't make sense. You have to complete the animation here. So these animation states, they have to be completed. So have a fixed time frame, right? They have a fixed time/duration that you have to run through its course in order for it to look natural. Right? This is just a state of being. And reality, like both of these will work in tandem, because you could be happy and blinking, again, you could be sad and blinking. So both of these have to go through. But there's only one channel to go through here. And the reason why is that you can have multiple plugins connected. So technically you could have another piece of plugin here and then another WebSocket. And you can say that this one only controls the eyes and this one only controls the body, for example. But as mentioned before, you have both of these kind of affect the same parameter potentially at the same time. So even though if, let's say this guy is responsible for emotion, and this guy is only for the blinking. So this guy decides when I want to blink, maybe every 10 seconds. Whereas this guy decides that, oh, you know, I feel sad every 5 seconds or and then happy in the next 5 seconds, something like that. If both of these are trying to affect the same parameter, first of all, I'm not sure if that's allowed. I think VTube Studio doesn't care. It just takes the latest value and actuates that value onto the model. So the model will just reflect that final value. So if you have two guys sending in two different values at the same time, you will have your model basically constantly flickering. It's going to go back and forth. This is just my assumption of what's happening. So for that reason, there's no reason to split up like different parts of the body into two different streams, simply because they're going to conflict anyways. So we don't do that. That means we only have one stream that of data that is going to constantly go through. And how do we know what data to send at any point in time? In every second, we are going to send 30 different packets to every single parameter, which we have 61 of. In one of these animation files, I believe we have like 61. This is just the base too. So as you get more stuff, maybe more hair, more stuff like that, I don't know, we might have tons and tons of more stuff. So imagine now that for each one of these parameters over here, we need to constantly send in real-time data here from something. So we need a corresponding set of data over here to send. So the question now is, what is going on this side? Because this side is clear now, right? As long as data comes in, the model is going to move. That's fine, as long as we set it up correctly here. Even though it's very pain in the ass, we can do it. That's fine. This part here is the problem. So what I'm thinking right now, I still don't have a very clear idea of this. I don't have it in code yet, but this toggle state, we have to identify essentially all of the different kinds of different toggles. So for example, we will have one for emotion. We may have one for like the body position, right? She could be sitting, she could be sending, stuff like that, just for example. So these would be like a 1 or 0 value. So these are booleans. So these are bulls. And then whereas these animation states, each one, so for example, needs to come with a... So, oh wait, how do I write this? Okay, so each has a designated animation file, essentially. And as mentioned before, this is something that we have to record ourselves and filter out ourselves. So this part will take a long time. But you might have stuff like blinking, you might have stuff like nodding her head, right? Even other animations, like for example, having a speech bubble pop up. We can have her like send out emojis and stuff like that, right? Each one of those will be a recorded animation. In some certain cases, like for example, speech bubble, we can make it simpler by not having to do this on our end here, like through real time. We could set it up on this side. So potentially this might be already here as a hotkey. That would probably be easier. But let's say we're focusing on these guys here and we want to send the data in. And again, we have to send these data in manually, not as a hotkey, because they might be affected by stuff over here. So the problem now is that every second, or every split second, every however long, we have to constantly check to see if we are trying to blink and what kind of emotion we are, to prepare a singular particular buffer here in order to map it over here. So this part is the part that I'm going to work on next. I need to figure out what the best way of doing this is. Right, yes. So currently the plan was, so right before the stream I was just thinking that we can have a buffer here, for example for the left eye, right? So eye left, I think it's called param eye left open, for example. Actually, I think this is small letters, not that it matters, but... And this would be a message queue. So this is a queue where it's a first in first out, so we will have different packets of this here. So these would be different values at different time units, and so on and so forth. And the sender doesn't really care. The sender is just going to pop a buffer out and then just send it. So that would be our while true loop here. Just take packet and send. Right, we're just going to take packet and send over here. And then the data that goes in will be interesting. So if, for example, we're just trying to animate a state, let's say it's just a happy state or like an eyes closed state, then we can just put in that packet, and then we can pack it up all the way, for example, and then as we are playing the animation, by sending the data, we're popping values out. And then let's say we play up to a certain point in time, and then we decided that, oh, actually, I want to start blinking now. I can then remove the data that has yet to be sent, and then I can take the blinking animation data, and then I can pack it in here. So then I will have more data here. That will be our blinking animation. So value B, maybe. It's a bit hard to read. My pen is kind of thick. So val B, and so on and so forth. So there will be some logic here that will look at the current state of emotion and the desired animation, maybe taking requests from something else, and then packing this buffer up. And then we'll just have stuff sending. Yes, so that's so I just realized there's a part that I never considered just now, is that if we're happy and then we want to blink, the eyes open state would be augmented by the emotion, but still has to play the blinking animation. So I need to figure this out if this is possible at all. So merging toggles and anim. So let's say happy blink. How merge param values. So there might need to be some sort of a slightly smarter processing. So instead of just playing back this thing, we might have to observe like exactly what the value is doing. So if we have a value, so if we have param I left open, and then this is time, and then we have 0 and this is time t. This t. Maybe this param is going from 0 to 1. Sorry, it'll be going 1 to 0, right? Something like this. It might look something like this. And then maybe the happiness, maybe our eye open will actually be kept at 0.5 or something. So we will then mimic the animation, but now only from 0.5 to 0.5. So this will take some more math. I think I need to figure out check some examples, but it should be possible. It might just be very complicated. I still don't know if this is the best way either. Or maybe VTube Studio is smart enough to do some stuff in the back. Or we can offload this into here, because I know you can set up toggle states in Live 2D. Actually, you know what? Maybe that will make more sense. So if we can offload all of the toggle stuff. Okay, let me put this in red here. So toggle to model, I think. This will save us a lot of work, because then they will be the one that's handling this. Okay, and then there's a few more other interesting issues. Is like if you're blinking halfway and I want to become sad. So if we can offload the toggle, I think we can just send a signal in between and it will be fine. If we cannot do that, we can either wait for the animation currently to complete, or we will need to unpack some of the data that's not sent, perform this modification, and then put it back in, which will be a lot of work. And then that's the first thing. The next thing is a synchronization issue, where every animation doesn't really just affect one thing. Even if you're just smiling, your mouth is going to open, your cheeks is going to move up. So in reality, you're affecting multiple of these buffers at the same time. And each one might be playing back a certain number. There might already be some values packed in at some point in time for whatever reason. And we don't know if we want to play out some of these buffers, packets, or are we okay with just kicking these out so that we can synchronize the new buffer in like all at the same time like this. Because some of these emotions might be time critical, especially if you want to synchronize it with speech. I don't know how long that's gonna take, but so that's the other part. So the synchronization across buffers. Yes, but anyways, that's the experimentation I've been doing so far. Anyways, that's a pretty long rant. It's like 30-minute rant of about the 2 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours that I've spent just before stream trying to play around with this thing. And yeah, there's also other complications like V-Bridger and stuff like that. I think those are just better at tracking, but as long as at the end of the day, we are reducing it down to a known set of parameters, which is the model params. Hello, Yaz. As long as we're reducing it to this set here, this is a known set. There is this mapping here, but even if V-Bridger adds in like 10,000 different things, at the end of the day, it still needs to go into the same parameters of the model. And because this is known, we should be fine regardless. It just means that the animation that we're playing on this side might be a little bit more complicated, depending on what V-Bridger is doing. Okay. Yeah, this project is gonna take a bit longer, I think. Hello, Silver. Okay, I think that's everything. I think that is everything. I think that is everything. Okay, anyways, that's all for now. I'm gonna go back to sketching randomly, and then I'll update as I get more information here, and then slowly tie down the architecture for the animation stuff. Arguably, this part might be more important, just because without this, we cannot make the character come to life, and then it might not warrant the amount of time spent in the Live 2D. Yes, I'm just kind of going through some of the experiments I'm doing with the Live 2D VTube Studio software, because the goal is to be able to animate my Live 2D character without me animating it, because I'm going to be animating the other character with my face, right? So we have two faces moving at the same time. One of them is going to be me tracking my face with a camera. The other one will be done entirely by the program. And then the program can be hooked up to ChatGPT or any form of model. Then that model can monitor chat. And then if anyone says hi to my character, she can actually respond in kind, right? She can be like, oh, hello, and then she can wave or something like that, you know. But all of them requires a pretty robust setup in the back, because we don't just want it to be able to wave and all that. We want it to be also extendable in the future if we ever want to do anything fancy. For example, such as syncing up speech and animation. That was actually the test that I was doing like a year ago. Let me see if we can find the code for that. I don't know if anyone's interested. Live 2D, stream Live 2D, voice, okay. Long-term data sync, audio outputs. Sorry, not this one. TTS providers. Hyper TTS provider. So the provider would do the TTS, you would commit and then get the audio timing. I don't think it's that bad. It should be okay-ish. It should be okay-ish. My computer is not that bad. I mean, I did build it like 6 years ago, but it's still chugging along pretty fine. Actuator, timing. Who is the pros processor? RVC process, PNG model, long-term memory, data sync. Is it the speech data sync? Okay, I'm having trouble understanding my old code. It's a mess. But actually the end goal would be something like and this is like super endgame goal, because this part would be very hard to test. In my previous experience, it was kind of tricky. So the overall architecture, the ideal architecture is that we have our brain here, right? So everything is going to mimic a human. So we have our brain here, which is our LLM. And the only difference between this brain and our human brain is that human brain takes in multimodal, a lot of inputs. It can take in visual, audio, that kind of stuff. But this guy only takes text. So that means no matter what kind of input that we're giving in. So this is the equivalent of the 5 senses. But in this world, it would just be live chat. And maybe like a time module, so we know some kind of a time. Maybe there's a memory module, and this would be a rec. We just do something simple like a rec. And each one of these needs to be converted to text. So there's a payload prepare. So this is called the data source. I named it there. Let's just call this like a payload prep. And each one of these feeds the data in somehow. So this part is still real time. So there's two differences here, right? Like the first thing is LLM only takes text, whereas the brain takes in multimodal data. The second thing is that LLM operates on like a digital basis, in a very stepwise basis. Our brains are always operating, they're taking in new inputs, and we can interrupt ourselves at any point in time. That's cool, right? But LLM doesn't do that. The moment you send in a payload, it's going to think, and then as it's thinking, you cannot interrupt this process. You can start a new process, but you cannot interrupt this process and augment it with new data. So what that means is that this payload prep is preparing each of this real-time data to send this as like quantized, like time-wise data. So we will have like stuff like time, T, and then we will have maybe the live chat, right? And then person A, maybe Silver says hi, and then maybe like Ya says hi, you know, something like this. And then we can have time. Oh yeah, time is already there. And then the memory could be something like, oh, maybe like Silver is a long time viewer, and then Yaz is a long time viewer. All of this gets sent to the LLM, and then the output is also text. And then we have this post-processing here. This post-processing here would do a couple of things. So the first thing is that the original plan that I had when I was experimenting in 2023 is that I wanted the character to be able to speak. So what I would do is that I will send this to text-to-speech, and then I will further send this to a RVC. I forgot what RVC stands for. But basically, this makes the voice sounds like a specific character, right? So this is for staying in personality, in persona. So in the case of Neurosama, this thing here, I believe, is Azure. Actually, I forgot. It was one of the characters on Microsoft Azure. But yes, so this would give me a text file. And both of these actually feed back into this post-processing unit. And this first thing, this one here, is an MP3 file of the final audio. This one here is a what's that? Is text? No, it's time and text. So basically, imagine like you have a paragraph of text. It's going to turn it into speech. Turn it into audio. This is MP3, by the way. But it also provides a transcript of, for every single word, at what second in this audio is it going to be spoken, right? So it's a time to text sort of mapping. And the reason why you need this is that again, it gets sent to a animation. What was it called? It's just processing, preparing, animation prep. Yes, so yes, in text-to-speech, usually the voice comes out in a very limited set of voices. Like think Microsoft David, that kind of voice. It's very robotic. It's not very human-like sometimes, and it definitely isn't going to sound like a very unique character, because like, you know, everybody with a Microsoft OS is going to have that voice. So for example, this would be robot voice. And this would be, let's say, a Miku, right? You can make it sound like Miku, for example. That's the difference between TTS and RVC here. Oh, I remember what was the other input here. It was STT, so speech to text. And so yes, so these guys are actually, if I remember correctly, did I send this directly down? I can't remember if I sent this directly down. But the idea is that the animation prep here would take two things. Oh, actually it would take two things. It wouldn't take this. It was sent to another LLM for sentiment analysis. So this would be the text. And this is the text that's being sent around. This is the sentiment analysis. And the idea of sentiment analysis is that it takes the it takes your text and decides, like, you know, is this sentence happy? Is this sentence sad? This will be able to know that which part of this paragraph, what kind of emotions I'm gonna have. So this is now going to be text and emotion. So you have time and text, you have emotion and text. Combining the two, this guy is able to provide time and emotion. And then combined with the MP3 here, so I guess this MP3 will be sent down directly. So combining with the MP3 here, you send it to the actuators. I call them the actuators, and this basically goes into VTube Studio. I'm just gonna VTS, and just like an audio playback, so speakers. So I guess it's more accurate to do it like this. So you have your MP3 that just kind of goes in here, and then you have this to go in here. So as your speakers are playing, your VTube Studio is going to animate your character and in tandem. So because this is by time with an emotion, in reality this would not just be emotion, it would be animation, some kind of animation here. And then over here, it would just play the audio. So this guy is not aware of this. Neither is this guy aware of this. But because we are both tied down by the same time frame, they're going to be in sync, and then you get a character that looks like they're talking. So this was the original architecture, like 2023. There's a lot of components in here, and any single part of this communication could fail. This could lag out. One of these could be crashed. If this thing fails, what happens? All of these break down. So this is not very great. It's not that it's not very great, it's just that it's very complicated, and there's a lot of parts that can fail, and there's a lot of fail-safes that need to be thought of. But the original design was very flexible in that each one of these modules are singular, so they could go down. I can just have 10. And then each one can be feeding in. If one goes down, I just pick the next one. Doesn't really matter. We can do that. Yeah, but anyways, this is very bad. And then in the case of Vito, I don't know what his underlying... So this is the backend, right? So in the case of Neuro here, I don't know what their backend is, but they also have a front end where they have the website where they sort of control... They can monitor all these things here. They can monitor all these things here. Every single component. There's debugs. There's logging. So if you crash, you know what's crashing. What the data is causing. What kind of data is causing the problem and stuff like that. But anyways. Right now, like, I just want to emulate only a very tiny part of this process. We are just going to take live chat. LLM here. And then we are just going to do a very simple sentiment analysis. It's just going to determine what kind of reaction we want. Do we want to say hi? Do we want to ignore? Do we want to be sad, be happy? That's it. 1, 2, 3, and then go into VTS. That's it. None of these other fluff. The original one in 2023, everything was working. I remember everything was working. It's just not very consistent, especially over here. So this, the thing that Neurosummer amazes me the most, because every single other part I can sort of see how Vito might have done it. It's just this part here. This part where we're talking about speech to text. Let me just explain to you how difficult this part is. In speech to text, right, that's what STT is. This is basically subtitling. You see the subtitling working in my OBS. This is the exact same thing. But why is Vito's implementation so amazing is because he made it work with collaboration, right? Text to speech to text. Right now, I think the best model is the Whisper model. Whisper Re3. It's very efficient, it's very good, it's very accurate. Everybody loves it. Especially for English, it works completely fine, right? It even supports other language. But there's one major downside. And is that it doesn't know who is speaking. So if you don't know who is speaking, and your bot, like let's say your Discord, right? You have like you have Neuro, you have Vito, oh my god. Let's say you have Neuro, you have Vito, and you just have like Annie or something. When Vito speaks, and Annie speaks at the same time, or even just one after another, the bot Whisper doesn't know who is speaking. It just knows that what people are saying. And in order for the bot to know who is speaking at what time and what they're saying, you need to run another thing, which I forgot what is it, what the technical name is. Let me look it up real quick. So AI to tell who is speaking. I think it's separate speakers. I think it's called so it's either called speaker identification or a speaker diarization, which is a word I've never heard of outside of this. So you have number 1 and you have number 2. But you know what the bad thing about the models that does this is? They don't know what you're saying that well, if I remember correctly. Wait, no, is that true? I think these ones here, they do know what you're saying, just not as accurately as Whisper, if I remember correctly. What I remember back then was that you cannot just rely on one. You have to sort of rely on both, and then somehow merge the data together in order to eventually generate a chat log that may look something like Vito says ABC, and then Annie says 1, 2, 3. If you do not have this part, what you would get instead is just user AB12C3, something like that. It might be a mess. It might even be just gibberish, because if they're talking at the same time, it might just mess up entirely. So that's the most amazing part about Vito's implementation, because this part is very tight. He can collab with other people. He made it so that it works in Discord, right? So that the audio data is just fed in from Discord call, which in and of itself was a huge challenge for me because I never got it working. Because when you're dealing with audio data, the raw bytes, the different encoding and the different sampling rates and everything, it messes up the bytes if you don't decode it properly. And I never figured that out. I don't know what's happening. But and then he has that and he has this. So collaboration, quick and easy. It just works. And that is insane, right? And of course, there's also the memory part. You know, how are you going to augment the memory? Because right now I'm just leaving it as a box here. But for example, if a user says something and the bot responds in a specific way, you don't just save what the user spoke. You want to save how the bot responded, right? If the bot made a joke, you want to save that back in here. So there's a feedback loop here somewhere. And this feedback loop, I also never figured it out. Because you don't just want to save everything back in. There's a limit to how much you can store. There's a limit to the context that you can send. There's a time limit over here in terms of processing all of these inputs. So you want to be efficient. So in here, there most likely is another LLM for summarization. So anyways, this is why like what Vito has for Neuro is a very, very amazing system. And it's getting to the point where it's so natural, everything just looks so good. I think behind the scenes is definitely a lot of perhaps slightly jankier bits. I cannot imagine a system this complex working like just perfectly at the end. On the voice recorded, the transcribe differently speaker and but I don't know how it works. Yes, I should probably look into the newer technology. There's probably a lot of advancements now. It's been 2 years since I touched this code. And that is a long time in terms of like technology and stuff. Do you need multiple computers? You do not necessarily need multiple computers. There are limitations in terms of the technical parts, which I probably don't want to get into. You have multi-threading, multi-processing. You have to think about like what kind of bottleneck you're gonna face down in this pipeline. Is it a file-based bottleneck? Is it going to be a time-based, like latency-based bottleneck, which is existing here? So you could use one computer. You could use multiple computer. I believe in Vito's case, Neurosama's actual model and everything is loaded on a separate system. So this part and the LLM is probably, I think, on a different system. And then it's connected over LAN, right? And something like that. So if you're connecting over LAN, you have to figure out the communication there, but that is just going to be done in code. So I guess it's not that different from just sending message queues like this. Anyway, there's an additional 20 minutes of like a summary of what I did before and what I can understand from just looking at what Neuro is doing and what Vito is doing. Yeah, behind the scenes. Anyways, if you have questions, feel free to ask. If not, I'm just gonna go back to sketching. Yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, Neuro started the first time she debuted. Okay, yeah, don't even get me started because Neuro plays games, right? Let me just add this on just for completion's sake. But if you're playing games, you need to put more input here, specifically for audio, which I think he added much later, and also for video, which is also added much later. I think in the beginning, when she's playing Osu, that's just an entirely separate AI that's playing it, right? She's just the chat, the LLM, and the response part. She wasn't actually outputting it back into the game, for example. Let's say there's a game here. But let's say you want to give the AI eyes and ears, right? It still is a LLM that only takes text. So what that means is you have to put in a translator over here. So this would be audio processing, and then this would be video processing. And then these guys would describe what's being heard, what is being seen as text, and then send it in. Ironically, this part is one of the easiest part to add, because these processing units, you either have them available open source, or you're just not gonna do it because it's super advanced. It's like, you know, people's PhD, entire team's PhD project. So you're not gonna be able to do this unless someone already gave you the work, in which case you just need to hook it up. So it's actually much faster than some of these other systems where you have to play around and tweak. Anyways, so that's giving the AI eyes and ears. So hopefully down the line, but even now, like ChatGPT 4 onwards, right? They can take in text. Sorry, they can take in video. It's not video, but image data. So, you know, eventually as their models get more powerful, which is gonna take a long time. I don't think it'd be that quick. But if models get more powerful, we can have real-time processing, perhaps, of data, constantly just real-time process in a real-time fashion. And then we might also just take in audio-visual data directly without having to translate to text, which, by the way, adds latency. Up till now, I haven't talked about the fact that Vito's Neuro's response is pretty quick. It's very natural. You speak to her, she responds in like a second plus a little bit. In that short amount of time, the speech must be analyzed, turned into text, prepped with the live chat, prepped with past memory that is relevant, which is a separate search that only happens after you're done talking. After the text is processed from your speech, that all gets sent to the AI, then it has to come back and turn back into an audio file, and then the audio file has to be processed a second time to make it sound like a neural. But I think if he's paying money, he might be able to do that in one step. I never did look into Azure's offerings. Anyways, yeah, what Vito has managed to build is very amazing. And I don't imagine myself building anything better. Or even anything close, to be honest. He's doing it full time, he has a lot of support. He's been doing it for a while. We're just kind of doing this as a hobby, so we just do... That's why she's not gonna speak. If my character can move correctly already, I think that's really good. Yes. So this will be probably the one time I'll rant onto this entire architecture thingy. I probably won't need to go into detail in the future until we actually get something done. And I'll just talk about the final version. This is not very relevant to art, but it is relevant to our project. Once and done. Yeah, speaking of like even Live 2D design itself, I'm getting pretty stuck with the clothing. I have an idea of what I want. It'd be kind of boring in a sense, but yeah. Now I'm thinking about like, because Live 2D VTubers always have their own sort of interface. They have their own chat layout, overlay. Oh yeah, overlay is the word, and stuff like that. And I'm just wondering if we ever do something like that, what the design is going to be, because I feel like I should be able to put in some stuff. If I can come up with the UI, sort of some of the elements that we would like to see in the UI, I can put that maybe in the coding as well, preemptively. So a little bit more consistency across the board. And it will also probably help with a little bit more of an idea generation kind of thing. Right now it's just very stuck. Yeah, I need to figure out a way to fix the animation stuff. That's the very core. No, actually, I have to do that first. If that doesn't work, then the project needs to be rethunk. Rethunk, yes. Rethink? No, rethunk. Yeah, I'm coming off of my analytical mind, and it's not very good for art. A little bit stuck. And this will wear off. And 30. I think most people are probably not that interested in all the stuff behind the scenes. Even the fact that we're using AI and whatnot is maybe slightly questionable, I think. But I do remember Radix showing interest. So someone else was asking for if they can see like old code, I think vaguely, last week. So this is just a once and done thing, and then I can go send a message to Radix to see if he's oh you George, okay, that's perfect. Man. Viewer on Unity. Oh, okay, that's a whole different realm. Before wiring animation. Yes, I have a little bit of experience in that, just because I made one like VR chat world that had like some buttons that require a little bit of programming, but yeah, Unity is definitely very tricky. It just feels, but I haven't used it enough to really criticize it, so maybe I'll keep my thoughts to myself. Yeah, there are a lot of so there's a lot of content creators on VR chat, at least on the Japanese side that I know of, and if there are song makers, they're definitely making a song, you know, laughing at Unity. It's like, what was that one line? It's like, Why do you hate me, Unity, or something like that? Please don't fight me. Yes. Oh yeah, there's actually a lot of open source AI VTuber, that kind of stuff. Most people tend to just do a chat ingestion, and then they do like a RAG for the memory, and then a simple text-to-speech, and then that's kind of it. In terms of like synchronizing animation and stuff like that, I've never seen other people do it. I don't even know if Vito does it, because I don't watch Nero that much. I definitely think he has the resources to do it, so I would feel like he should have done it already, because that's like a huge part to bringing your character to life. Oh shit, I drew the head too early. Put the body in real quick. Man, it'd be so cool if we can just get like some simple stuff working. If she can be autonomous in terms of reacting to chat, that is all I ask for. That is all we need. This is an art channel. Oh my god, like VTubing is supposed to be like just a side thing that supplements the art. But I have all the stuff that I did before, and I don't feel like... maybe not really. It's not like I feel like I don't want to let it go to waste. I feel more of like it's already done already, so why not just make use of it? It shouldn't take that long now. Or so I think. But the requirements has changed. So yeah, it's kind of complicated again. BTS didn't learn properly how to make it work. Text-to-speech models tend to be, I believe, a little bit simpler. A lot of times you can find tutorials of them just like a simple Python script. And sorry, this is data sync. TTS providers. TTS provider. Yeah, like I'm not 100% sure like what kind of stuff problem you ran into, but this is code from 2 years ago. It was just me hacking. So we like the text-to-speech I was using is called Piper text-to-speech. It's an open source project, and then they have an exe in there. So I just call the exe, I give them a model. So this Onyx file has the female voice and US accent. And then I echo the text in. So whatever text I want, just send it in. Gives me an audio output file. And then this file is just returned out. So if you just want to use it, I don't think it'd be too difficult. It would just probably run like a command like this. Or you would start up a Python file, instantiate a class, and then pass in the values and whatnot. Yeah, getting everything to work. Yeah, like, now that I remember, yes, depending on how much the AI decides to talk, your text-to-speech can take forever to translate, to work. And then you have to turn it to sound like the character. Double the amount of time, sometimes even longer. Because the model that's being ran is different. The latency makes the whole process very robotic. Oh yeah, like the other thing is, if you do speech-to-text, sometimes people interrupt each other. I can be talking, someone can just interrupt me. And in real life, you would just stop talking, but the AI doesn't know, right? So like the system needs to have a way of feeding back like the fact that someone now is talking again. You should probably shut up. And then I think I had a communication system in the back that detected if new audio output came in, stop playing the current audio file, and that would emulate the whole AI shutting up sort of effect. Somehow. What is the body doing? Then stuff? Oh, wait, I can just do this. Give it here. Yeah. So it's just a straight line, huh? I think it looked better before too. Oh, I see. My hips are kind of jank. Ah. Okay. So it would be... No, it would still be slanted, but not that much. Oh, oh. What a hang up. Hello, Viper. Welcome to the stream. Where you get the silent treatment. Wow. Everyone gets the silent treatment. Still not long enough, is it? Yeah, just imagine like if the Live 2D is set up, my character can be waving high. Or she can send out like more skull emojis or something. Yeah. We're so close. Or rather, I should say I'm closer than I've ever have been. Touching on Live 2D, touching on trying out some of the code as well. Getting started on the design, collecting all the references. We're so close. Hello, Duvet. Your signature emotes. Not working. Oh no. Are you even Duvet anymore without your emotes? Getting silenced. By the big video. No, the big emotes. What? Oh yes, of course. Okay, I read that as I eat ectoplasm. That's how I read it. Ah yes, this is how I know you're the real Duvet. Yeah, it looks like everything looks like it's got that filter on. It's like sepia, sepia. Everything feels very subtle. Interesting. I think my eyes like to have... So, like, looking at this, we get, like, the very... What's the word? Like, Shit, what is this word? Like, contrasted. Like, this face is very poppy. It pops out. So it's like a big shape that your eyes gets drawn to. But I still wish there's, like, more shapes around. Like, on the hair and stuff like that. Because the rendering is very like, kind of feels like homogeneous. It's not, like, a very clear lighting other than the rim light. My brain is just, like, constantly... my eyes are constantly doing this. As I'm looking at this illustration, I cannot look anywhere else. I am just so distracted by the fact that there's nothing to look at here. I mean, the correct way to read it would be iota ectoplasm. Iota is in like a very small unit of something. An extremely small amount, or the ninth letter of the Greek alphabet. I did not know that. No, Google, I do not need to know what knife means. Thank you very much. But I thought I'd say I eat ectoplasm. And then I immediately thought of the white stuff from Terraria. Oh, the metal stuff is really good, actually. Yeah, like you said, this is very good. I still feel like something is missing. I like how blocky this thing is. I really like very blocky stuff, like Minecraft. Minecraft is kind of too regular. This is slightly less regular, blocky stuff. Anything that has like a good width to it feels good, man. Like if I can hold it in my hand and examine its width. Sorry, my favorite piece of theirs is the one with the two big green earring. Ooh. Yeah, this makes for a good study. Not this one. Oh. That's teal. The next one. Oh, this... Oh, come on, man. This looks basically... You're right. This is green. I did the kind of Japanese thing where they will look at blue stuff, or slightly blue stuff, and they will say owl. And then sometimes they look at green stuff and they will say owl. Everything is owl. So you like the metallic parts more then, right? Because you did mention the metallic rim. Oh, is that like cut off? Oh no, it's the next page, my bad. Yeah, I like the crystals more. Look at that, shiny. Look at the textures, man. That's so good. Damn. But then this is so tight, actually. Now that I'm looking at this, like all the edges are so clear. Every single pearl. Everything is so tight. Ooh, this part is really good. It really's got like that foil effect. How do you do that? Determine the overall base, cut it in, highlight certain parts, dim certain parts. Oh, okay. Oh. Hey, is this a pattern brush? I see some very geometric squares in there. Very cool. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Yeah, Viper, that is a great question. I think I've been trying to answer that for like the past 2 to 3 weeks. And I have my roots in more anime style, like cell sort of style. Like not roots as in like I mean I did start drawing in that style as well. But I think it's just more of like growing up is kind of the style I've been looking at. So it's kind of the style that I've taken a liking to. The less painterly and realistic ones. But recently, I mean like I'm getting more exposed to like Arknight's art, and there's a lot of cool illustrations there, and a lot of them are very sort of painterly. But I don't think it can ever just go pure like painted. Like the style that we saw just now. Did I close it already? I think, yeah, there will be a lot of problems with it if I try to emulate this. At least right now. A lot of it is just skill issue. Because I won't be able to see the, like, how do I say? You can do sketches and stuff, but unless I have a clean set of lines, I feel very uneasy as I'm going into paint. Because I'm like, ah, shit, I have to clean up the lines, man. I still have to do that? It's like, no, you don't really have to clean up the line, you just paint over it, right? Like, anyways. I do like lines, but I also do like a little bit of like painterly, texturey sort of vibe to it. But one thing's for sure is that I would like to have bigger, more obvious shapes. Like some of the rendering in here feels like this part of the clothing. I feel like maybe it's part of the whole overall design, like a whole composition, that the clothing, you kind of want to have it to be not that clear, not that obvious. So people don't tend to look at this. But I would only look at this part because it's the one part that my brain cannot resolve. I cannot see what's happening. Like the background has a lot of details and stuff like that. I get it as like a board, you know, it's artistic and stuff like that. I want to see the folds in the clothing and I cannot see it. So it bothers me a lot. So if I ever draw that, I'm definitely gonna make it a lot clearer. And sorry, where is the reference board? Yeah, a lot clearer. Yeah, a lot clearer. I don't have an artist that I would just go to though, for sure. I guess at the very least, like Min would be a very good reference. I guess there's some parts here that's not very clear either. Yeah, I would like the shapes to be more organized, personally, I think. Yes. I think personally that was, did I delete the piece from here? I think I might have deleted a piece from here. There was an artist that we studied who has a lot of textured brushes in there, a lot of rigs and a lot of just kind of patterns that stamped in. And I do kind of like that. I like stuff like this as well. This is more painterly. You know what? This looks very very agreeable, I feel like. It's not super painterly, it's still kind of clear. Nah, I will put lines in there. I'll definitely put lines on the characters. Because I was just saying this yesterday as well, is that like if you look at this piece here, you have these outlines that are kind of highlighted. And they're highlighted in areas that's not really touched by light. So they're more of like a design, graphic design, poster design kind of thing, where you're just trying to make certain things pop with more colors, more flamboyant colors, saturated colors. And I kind of will incorporate a little bit of that as well. Kind of like what's going on here. You've got some lines going on, you've got some painting going on. A lot of textures, a lot of perhaps 3D work done. Yeah, actually it's interesting. If I like, cause it isn't, I'm looking at this, I'm not like, I want to change some part of it. I think this is very agreeable. Maybe that's a good way of thinking about it. Because if I look at something and I want to change something, then that probably means that that's not my style. But that's not quite, yeah. Okay, you know what? Never mind. I think I'm not good enough to make that kind of judgment because I'm looking at most of these and most of them I probably won't have anything I want to change. Maybe adding more lights. Maybe adding some textures. Maybe overall adjustments. I guess there is a leaning towards a direction, for sure. It's just not clear yet. Yeah, I am very overwhelmed by colors. That's why we've only really by rendering, by colors, by all that. That's why for the past few weeks, we've really only been doing values and just really tracing shapes and stuff like that. We're not really too focused on actually creating original pieces where we have to render stuff ourselves. And I think that is bad because I'm basically running away from my problems, just like I did for like, you know, a good few years when I first bought the tablet. Because I'm like, it's just gonna suck. Why do I want to, you know, feel bad about what I do? But that's the way forward, so yeah, I need to stop running. Even right now, I'm still kind of running. I know in my heart that I have to start trying renders. If not the Live 2D stuff as well, like how am I going to render it? Or rather, like how am I going to have a rendering quality or consistency that I'm going to be satisfied with? Because the Live 2D model will be something we'll be staring at for a good while once it's made. So I do want it to be, for lack of a better word, agreeable. Which can only come after a good period of time. Like, yeah, even like sketching. Actually, I realized yesterday that the reason why things are feeling a little bit easier now is, one thing is, you know, lowered expectation. But the other thing is I stopped fighting myself. Because in the past, I would take a reference and I would use it to draw something. And the first thing I would feel is immediately is that, hey, this is heavily referenced. It's not really original. And back then it was kind of true because I wasn't drawing my own character. I wasn't, like right now at least, I'm bringing a little bit of life to the character. So I think that's maybe some original input there. But back then I would say, yeah, you know, this sucks. This is not really what I want. And I'll get discouraged. And then another thing would be to draw something, look at it and be like, is this really the style I want to draw this in? But it's like no point in thinking about that. Because back then I was so caught up on trying to find my own style that I'm like, I don't want to get pushed in the wrong direction. But there is no like wrong direction. If it's not what you like, if you don't like it, you're gonna go away eventually. In fact, like over time, I'm realizing that, you know, you leave a illustration a while, like alone for a while, you come back to it, you'll be like, oh hey, I don't really like this part, you know. So really there was no need to fight against myself and all that. So now it's been easier to draw because of all these reasons, or rather lack of all these nonsense. So I have to do that process for rendering. In case without learning everything is get very unbalanced, so I'm trying to do color studies. I think it's like as long as it's what you want, like in your heart, you think about art, you think when you're drawing, you feel like this is what I'm lacking right now, this is what I want to be better right now, and then you work on it. I think that's the best. But I feel like if you're just drawing and you're just sketching and you're just like, hey, you know, I'm enjoying this a lot, and I'm like, maybe, you know, I should do a little bit of color studies. You know, if you have the capacity to do so, I think you should probably, but, you know, having fun is probably the more important thing. It's the thing that I've been ignoring for so long. And it's the thing that's held me back for so long, too. You know what? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it sounds like you're on the right track. Sounds like you're on the right track. Not that I'm in any position to be saying if you are or not. But compared to what I did before, I think it made a lot of sense. Like what you're saying now. Yeah, my biggest problem was definitely what I'm doing right now, which is just avoiding that problem. I always like to say, like back then, that, you know, I'm drawing anime art. Why do I need to do like hardcore anatomy stuff? But I think even back then I knew deep down that it was probably gonna be required. Or at the very least, like gonna be super helpful. But I just didn't want to do it. I just avoided it constantly. And look at me, like, what, 5 years, 10 years down the line, I have to do the same thing. And then, now I feel good about doing it. Dang it, dude. If only I started earlier. Oh shit, where does it come out? Probably be here. Really makes sense now. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it. Leave it. Yeah, the other thing that I learned is to not be such an ass and nitpick every single freaking line. Oh my god. I hated doing that, but I couldn't resist. I would look at the line art and be like, hey, this line needs to be more perfect, more curvy. And overall, I think it helped me train my hand-eye coordination, but that made things so much worse. Art was such a chore. Not to mention the fact that most of the time after I'm done with the whole line art, I realize that the lines are too thick or the lines are too unnatural because everything is constant width or some stupid shit like that. Anyways. Rendering and stuff for a while, kind of distracted myself reading a theory of how to render, but yeah, we... yes, for sure. Yeah, nothing really beats like just doing it. Like thinking about it a little bit, like, oh, how I want to do this. I think this would make sense. And then doing it and then be like, oh shit, it didn't work, but why? Like, oh, this part of my thinking didn't really work out. And then you don't just improve in like your art and rendering, but you also improve in your ability to assess the situation. And like, the next time it's like, hey, I'm better at judging things now. Oh my god, you sound a lot like you sound a lot like what I tend to do. I think, yeah, when did I even change that mindset? To be honest, like I feel like it's still kind of the case now. It's just that because there's a timeline now in everything I do, I don't have that option anymore. The most prevalent thing is at work, because you know, anytime you code as well, like given the set of requirements, there's always, you can always go the extra mile, but once it goes into production, you don't know what's going to happen. So at some point you just call it and say like, you know what, this is it. This is as far as we go. It might have problems, but we'll solve it as we come, because we don't know if it will happen or not, or maybe there's something else. And then art is just like, I have to stream every day, I have to come on every day. So if I have a plan, if I want to do something, I have to do it here. And I have to do it. If it sucks, it's gonna suck live on stream, and I have to figure out what sucked about it and then how to fix it. And then they just stopped all the thinking. There's no thinking anymore, because there's no time. No time to think. Just do it. Yeah, analysis paralysis. My hobby. My middle name, my way of life. Dang. I think maybe part of it stemmed from my social anxiety. I was never really good with, I mean, I wouldn't look like I was bad with social situations, because I would just be super silent. I would just be super controlled because I'm just holding everything back. So it looks like I'm okay, but inside I'm kind of nervous. And what happens is that I tend to think about the situation a lot before it happens because I need to know the ways that it can go wrong for me. I need to know all the different ways that I might be put on the spot or that I may be embarrassing myself or someone else. And then that, I think, probably started all the overthinking. Because social situations is like things happen, right? When so many people around, like, anything can happen. And you might say the wrong thing at the wrong time just by accident, just because you didn't think things through enough, like stuff like that is how I always think. So tendency to just think first. You know, be prepared. People always say you should be prepared, have a plan, you know. Like, that's kind of my mantra, taken to a little bit too much. And you know, I'm still planning out what I say when I go to McDonald's. I'm still planning out what I say. Well, nowadays you have the kiosk. But like at work, right? The meetings. I have, while everyone else is presenting, you can see everybody's faces looking at the person who's presenting and listening to what they're saying and understanding what they're saying. Thinking about the implications of what they're saying, right? Maybe trying to help them out, like saying, did you think about this thing? Did you worry about that thing? No, like I'm thinking about what I'm gonna say in like half an hour later. I'm thinking about, oh yes, I did this and this and this and this. Yes, okay. Yes, I'm gonna later say I did this and this and this and this. Yes, okay. And I'll just keep doing this while I'm waiting for my turn. And then when my turn comes, 50-50 I fucked it up. And still doing this. Man. Honestly, like I think the thing, some of the parts that help the most is obviously having, you know, a good community. So when you fuck it up, you don't get, you know, blamed too much. You don't get like destroyed by the people around you for making that mistake. And then the other part is just to make a bunch of mistakes. Because if I wasn't streaming, I would be worried a lot about, you know, what I'm presenting to people. If I'm drawing, I want to present the best art that I could, right? That's why I always spent so much time on my art, but I never really learned anything because my process was bad. But that's a separate issue. But now that we started streaming, I have to be here. I have to do this. If it sucks, it sucks. And I'm learning that, you know, it's fine to just suck. That's what he said. But it's fine to just do bad art. It's fine to come on stream and be like, hey, today I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then it's fine to try something and absolutely fail and be like, hey, you know what? I don't know what's going on here. I don't know how to do this. I guess this is my limit for now. And then you move on. And then that helps with the anxiety, knowing that you're not gonna die if you fail. Not gonna die too much. Until you turn off the lights and you lie on the bed, and then the entire day plays back and be like, hey, I fucked this up today. Hey, do you remember this? Yeah, you kind of forgot to say this one thing at this critical moment. It's like, give me a break, brain. Anyways, the human experience, the human condition. Everyone probably experiences this. That's what I would like to think. I don't have space, I'm gonna put you here. Okay, I'll try rendering when I fill this page up with sketches. Okay, how about that? Definitely not trying to procrastinate or anything like that, you know. It's just a good time to change when I have enough sketches. Don't worry about it. We'll get there. We'll get there. This year's kind of big, but whatever. I'll leave it. What day is today? Wednesday. Oh, it's Wednesday, my dudes. The week is only half done. Alright, I am getting distracted. I need to put the clothing on. And I just accidentally deleted everything. Well, amazing. Happy Thursday. Yes, I still have like 47 minutes to go. Sorry. 47 minutes to go? Yes, 47. I can do math. What? Changing my brush. Hello, Mizukine, welcome. -5. Is that... Isn't that East... That is East Coast, right? I think? Is that East Coast? Shit. Alright, what is this clothing? Let's see. Yes, rise and shine. You know what? Let's pull this over then. Oh, actually, we should do the arms first. Probably be easier. Oh, is yelling like a very common thing that you experience? Loud noises are really very aggravating. I have a coworker that sits beside me, and then during lunch he likes to take a nap. But he will set an alarm, and the alarm is so loud, bro. What the fuck? Every time I know it's coming too, but my heart just... Jesus, every time. Every day. But because usually I'm pretty tired anyways, so kind of like a good shock, so I wake up and actually get work done, so... Yeah. East for North America, West and South America? Ah. I see. I think not a lot of my viewers, like maybe only like 10-15% is like from America. If I remember my analytics correctly. Yeah, I know, right, Mizukine? Like, I drop off stream, I'm like, hey, let me get some stuff done, or like, let me watch a little bit of YouTube. Come on, let me watch a little bit, and then it's like 2 hours later, it's 3 a.m. Where are my arms? Oh, okay. The breasts. How come it doesn't show on this person? I think the shoulders are not right for mine. More pop forwards, so everything is more squish forwards. Ah, whatever, dude. Do not care. Oh yeah, that is I've seen people like falling asleep at the wheel. Like when I'm driving, like there's people around me that fall asleep at the wheel and then they crash. And you would think, you know, like driving life or death situation kind of scary. People shouldn't fall asleep, but man, when you're tired, you just go. Mine's not life or death, but like in meetings, I'm just like I can't open my eyes. I think I was being I thought I was being sneaky, but then I looked in the mirror and I'm like, God damn, yeah, they could tell. No shit, they could tell. Need more sleep, man. Much noise over here. All the best, man, Mizukine. I hope your hard work pays off in a big way. And then you don't have to do this anymore. It's not. One can hope. One can dream. Oh yeah, another thing that really paralyzed me a lot is that I'm always wondering if I'm doing the right thing. Because you know, because my goal isn't to get better at art. My goal is to bring my character to life, and the path I've chosen is to be better at art to do that. But there's always other options to do it. And when I initially met Mia, Mia is like the polar opposite of me, because he gave up software to go pursue art. That's why we started talking quite a lot, even though we just met in the beginning. And I think, yeah, I question my choices a lot in life. But then the thing I've come to realize is that you really do not know what's going to work out. All that matters is you get to your end goal. If you get to your end goal, you've made the right choice. If you don't get there, you didn't make the right choice. So just make sure you get there, no matter what choice you make. So, I don't know why I'm saying this right now. I just got reminded of this. Because I thought about this every day for a very long time. It's like, should I be doing software? Like, my life's goal is to do this thing, but I don't feel like I'm working towards it at all, and I'm not. And now that, you know, I've started streaming, I've gotten better, I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe my choices was the right choice. But at the end of the day, I couldn't have known that. I still don't even know if it's the right choice, necessarily. Until we've made it. Until I've achieved my goals, so... Anyways, in the end, I just stopped talking about it. Sorry, what angle means? I'm trying to think if I missed anything in chat. Because I don't know what angle means either. I don't know in what context. Oh shit, what did I say? Shit, close to my angle. Ah shit, I can't remember what I said exactly. When you say you're close to your angle, what did I say? Mm-hmm. Anyways, but yeah. Right choice, wrong choice. You don't know until you've, for better or worse, you don't know until you've actually went through everything and reached the end. And then you look back and you're like, hey, wrong choice, bad choice. Oh, and go. Yes, and go, and go. Thank you very much, Yuko. That makes sense, that makes sense. It's a huge hand. Okay, I don't know yet. Oh. That's nice. I hope. I hope you're enjoying it. Yeah, the perspective is probably kind of shit. That was the original alignment there, right? So that means probably even more this way. Yeah. Very interesting. Krita and try. Yeah, Krita. Krita, the only thing I remember from trying out Krita is it had like a weird control format that I wasn't used to. And I got really tilted because of that. So I gave it one try and that was it. Never looked back. It might work for you. I never tried like other softwares either. Uh-huh. Oh, it's kind of went very far away. Yes, are you on the critter? Are you our critter represent? Mm-hmm. Now with the apps, my tablet screen does not see the stylus in a certain place. Sounds like it's out of calibration. Cannot draw normally. Shouldn't there be like a way to calibrate? I feel like there should be a way to calibrate. Calibrate. Man, these ties are too thick for her. Or not, actually, never mind. Yeah, it's too zoomed in. Do not know. Oh. Seems like a design flaw. Cannot calibrate. But I thought you can do like anything on Android because like people can code random shit on it. I've never used Android before though. I'm just talking out of my ass right now. Oh yes, I forgot the finger on the outside. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Legs kind of jank. Let's see, I did almost everything and get a fluent workflow with personalized keybinds. Ah, yes, harsh gestures and the pen buttons. Moreover, you can personalize color themes to make it cute. Okay. I can see why that would be a selling point. I'm all for customization. Very cool. Write a script so it can be RGB. Oh my god. RGB game art software. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. Ah, これでいいわ。これぐらいでいいわ。が。One of the favorites here against here is the brain. Yes, I too am waiting for Clip Studio to go on sale so I can finally upgrade off of version 2. that I bought like 5 years ago. Is her head too sunken? There's like no neck. I need to bring the neck out. There's a quick yoink. Nagai. Nago. Very, very, very long. Neck is kind of the problem with anime having too thin of a neck. Not enough volume here. It's a compromise, I suppose. Not enough tilting. Ah, yes. Very cool. Duvet is back. Guess I have to turn everything. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Ah, 何これ? Eye alignment, yeah, that's fine. There's variance between each one, but that's fine. Oh right, I'm just gonna change the expression, right? I forgot. Created for Linux, Android is not different. Yes, please don't judge me for this, Duvet. It's the Valve Index. I got it when it was all the hype. And it was pretty good. People always hyped up the controllers. I guess I never used like one of the other ones, so I couldn't compare. But I guess it made sense that I could just let go and then have it be stuck to my hand. No, the Index was cool and stuff. It was kind of advanced and stuff, so it was kind of justified, but it was still very expensive, I think. Most people nowadays, you know, even back then, like Quest was more available. No, actually back then it was Oculus Rift. Is that even a headset? I can't remember, man. I always tell people, like, whenever I get the chance, when the topic of VR comes up, is that people should really do VR, like try VR out. You don't have to buy one, but you should try it, because just like how the internet started out with just a few computers talking, this is how VR starts. And we're right here at the very beginning. You should just try it and see what the hype is about, see what it's like right now. Because in a few, I don't know, a few years, in our lifetimes, we're gonna see the technology go up and up and up and up. And I think it'd be really cool to have experienced the very beginnings of it. To truly understand like how far like we've all came in terms of advancing this technology. Because imagine like back in the day you were using like simple computers and then nowadays you have like smartphones. Like I wonder what that feels like. I do understand that not everyone's kind of interested, but why not, right? You know. Try it, see it, experience it for yourself, you know. Go like pat like an anime girl's head in VR chat. Get it in return. Do some ERP in VR chat. Why not? Yeah, it is unfortunately still very expensive. There are certain places, like depending, I mean, like really depends on the country, but at least over here in North America, my friend's university was actually just, you know, outright lending them out. And then there were like public libraries that did it as well, I think. But I guess those are slightly dubious for various reasons. Oh, and in the beginning, you're gonna feel a little bit sick. I think most people probably will feel a little sick, but you will get over it. Because I have, at least I have been traditionally, it's just such a weird. I've always been a little bit weaker to like motion sickness. So I got it in the beginning, but I overcame it. Although in my case, it was because I bought it. I was too committed. The sunk cost fallacy was in full effect. So I just pushed on and eventually I got used to it. If you experience like very bad frame rate drops though, you will get sick. Like super fast, super strong. So you do need like a good computer to run it if you want to buy one for yourself. Also, just a random note, you don't actually need a VR headset to play VR chat. It makes a lot of sense for them to name the game VR chat, but it's also their greatest downfall because anytime I bring it up, everyone's like, oh yeah, I don't have money for VR. But you don't need it. Yeah, even people with VR, now that I think about it, they don't always log on VR. Especially like in language learning worlds. Because it's very hard to type in VR. You have to use that stupid keyboard where you click every button by aiming a laser pointer at it, so it takes forever. Especially if you're trying to search it in a different language that you're not familiar with in the first place. So most people just go on desktop and then they can Google stuff very quickly. What time is it? 11:45. Let's see. Hello, Sense. What's up? The ceiling, haha. Welcome to the stream. Just a chill guy. Oh wait, she's been wearing long sleeves the whole time. I should find a short sleeve one. Short sleeve, please. It's Tuesday, innit? Nah, mate, it's... Why am I doing this? I don't know why I'm doing this. Oh, everything's long sleeve in my Pinterest now. Oh wait, I can just make the sleeve short. What am I doing? Why do I have to look for one that has long sleeve? Like short sleeve. So cold. Nani wa shiyo. Nani wa shiyo. This is worth. Okay. I guess she'll be forced to wear pants for once. Very unfortunate. Okay, what angle? Oh wait, did I fix that? I did. Do the alignment. We finished the hair. Natural. Man, I thought I got sniped. Dang, it just choked for a second there. Okay. I'm gonna go to the toilet, bathroom, washroom, water closet, washing closet. The place where you pee, and then I'll be right back. Okay, let's continue. Okay, okay. Oh, oops. Oh. Front view then. Warika. Okay, what is next? Warika. Yes. Thank you for joining us, Silver. Good night. Have a good night. Cancel this. Very distracting tongue. Oh, I just realized, George, your comment about is a chill guy is in relation to Sense's profile picture. Only 13 minutes. Only took me 13 minutes. Could be worse. It's not the right pose for this character. Yes, no doubt about that. I've been chilling here since the beginning today. Very chill. Very chill indeed. What I hang on? Hit, and then turn, and then hit. Turn front facing, face down, push up. More dynamic. Okay.今でもいいか。OK。Nice, because it's tilted now. Hey, hey, hey. Oh, I made that reference again. I don't know if anybody knows that reference. I'm not gonna explain it if you don't get it, but yes, Redex, welcome. If you're interested in the live 2D stuff, I spent the first hour of the stream talking about my current progress. It's all the coding stuff and all the design stuff that you said, I believe you said you're interested in. Not Kaguya, yes. Not related to anime. I guess kind of related to anime. But anyways, Redex, if you're interested, you can go and go through the first hour. I rant on for about 55 minutes, so. Well, actually, the stuff that you are interested in probably starts 30 minutes in. Why is my key failing? Because I'm trying to be something I'm not, I think. Yeah, the front view angle is always weird. Like all the other angles feels a bit okay to try to get the character to stay consistent. Front view, the contour of the cheeks is always not as puffy enough, I feel like. And then it gets super weird. Trying to keep the chin here. Because my nose is kind of off center. This is very reminiscent of me drawing in the past, or even just like up to recently too. I feel like something isn't right, just because like, you know, technically I feel like this should be here, that should be there, and then I get sucked in, I try a bunch of stuff, nothing works, demotivated, stop drawing. Very cool. This part is not good. This part is not good. Something else is still failing here. What is it though? Oh.絶対こっちだろうな。マジでわからん。うん。Okay. Okay, I need a stuffed animal. What is a good stuffed animal? What do we got? Oh, what is your name at? Yeah. Oh, isn't the IKEA one like a huge meme? Shit, what was it called? God damn, I don't know how to pronounce this. Oh, wait. It's a trans icon now? Alright then, I guess we can't give people... I can't have any misunderstanding here. I guess we'll use Gura or something. Right, I need a reference for this. Let's give her a gun. Why not? Is YouTube gonna flag this and be like, violence? What? That's a good angle here. I need to show her arms. If not, it's gonna look kind of weird, I think. Oh my god, foreshortened arms. Not fun. That's the other muscle. This is the thumb is on this. Something like this then, I guess. I say as I erase everything. Hey, something like this erases everything. Facing us, right? No. Hand raised versus hand not raised. Shoulder problem. Shoulder goes up. Oh yeah, okay, makes sense. Yes, please do. Have a good night. Thank you for joining. See you tomorrow. See you soon. I too will have to drop off soon. We need to draw her finger correctly. You're not supposed to hook the trigger. Look right. It kind of works. That's good enough for me. It's kind of weird that it's not lined up though. It should be lined up. Do the eye here. Yeah, let's line it up then. It's a ball? Okay. Hmm. Cooler mask. Good night, George. It is 12:30. You know what? I guess I'll stop here as well. And then I'll continue this tomorrow. Wait, if this plush is a ball, it's not gonna really get squished to that extent. Anyways, 12:30 is a good time to stop for me. Yeah, have her take the shark hostage. Why not? Oh, oops, not this. I'll just play this for the last 5 minutes because I like as the ending song to a Blue Archive anime. But in piano. Thank you guys for coming. I'll go try a little bit more live 2D nonsense after this, and then see you guys soon. Have a good night.